priorities of the AFL: health and wellbeing, the people in our industry, role modelling for our community, and being leaders in this crisis for our country. I also talked about responsibility to preserve the industry for which so many rely on, for their livelihoods and for their lifeblood. Today's inflection point has been reached after wide consultation with the whole AFL industry, and including conversations with the Australian Chief Medical Officer and representatives from government. I said on Monday that we're moving to a 17-round season. I also said we had to be agile. Tonight, our 17-round season becomes a 153-game journey. We start tomorrow night with Richmond against Carlton at the MCG. Again, we have to be agile and flexible. The games will be shortened and quarters will now be 16 minutes plus time on. The NAB AFL Women's will continue this weekend. However, we will forego the final 2 weeks of the home and away season and move straight to finals, with the fixture to be announced tomorrow. We know at any time a player may test positive and halt our journey temporarily. We know that we are building resilience measures in our clubs and our squads so that over the next couple of weeks we are better prepared to deal with a positive test of one or multiple players. We start tomorrow night confident, after discussions with the Chief Medical Officer, that our players are well placed to bear the proportionate risk of playing a contact sport. We feel confident in our club and industry protocols, which we continue to refine based on the best advice available. We commence tomorrow night on government advice that putting on a game sits within the newly established protocols and guidelines announced by the Prime Minister this morning. We also embark on this journey with clear instruction from the government that all industry and all parts of society need to keep moving forward, and we simply cannot stand still. We must go forward day by day, listening to the advice, and continue to make the best decisions for our industry while balancing wellbeing, welfare, leadership, and economic and social impacts. We don't know how many games we will get into this 153-game journey before we have to pause. But what I do know today is I feel comfortable with the government and medical advice and the support of our presidents, CEOs, our players and our coaches. Tonight, our industry is unified in making a decision to start. The reality is this season will not look like any other. As I said earlier in the week, this is an unprecedented challenge and it's going to take unprecedented action to get through it all. We've taken action in both the men's and women's seasons. 153 games will not look like a standard 17-round season, but footy is resilient and footy will find a way through. Thank you.
Did the Commission take some convincing?
I think the Commission needed to consider widely and understand the position clearly of the Chief Medical Officer and the medical industry, of government, of our clubs, our presidents, our industry really.
You said on Monday the first 4 rounds will stay as per the opposition legislation. Will that be the case, and will you maybe try and cram some of those matches into a quicker time frame than 4 weeks?
Yeah, we will if we can, Damo. So the first 4 will stay the same, and then this is going to be day by day. But if we can accelerate it, we will.
What was the major discussion point with the Commission, and perhaps why it's taken so long for the announcement today?
I think processing changes in protocol, Steve-O. I think contemplating that things were changing so quickly, contemplating the uncertainty of the current environment, understanding completely how our players felt and being clear that they are unequivocal that they want to play, understanding and hearing from all 18 clubs that they want to play.
Is that because players have to play back-to-back multiple
It gives us the flexibility, Catherine, if that's where we go. So, there, Steve Hocking's made that decision with the clubs. It's part of the agility and flexibility we're trying to build into this.
What did you make of the PA's desire yesterday for it still to be a 22-game season?
That's their view. I completely understand it. I think we've got to get a 17-game season away.
What are the chances of the entire season being played behind closed doors, given the government's announcement today?
It depends how this plays out, but it feels that that's a possibility, isn't it?
6 months is a long time, Gil, and that was the term that was mentioned today. That you're in for a long haul with empty stands, if that's the case.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. And it's part. I think it's going to be a long year, and our players and our industry want to get moving. And while the advice is so clear that it's appropriate for them to play, they want to get started, and they know that this is going to be a long journey in what is an unprecedented time.
Have you worked on a schedule yet to cram those games in the first month?
No, we've obviously, things have been changing fast. We'll get away this weekend, and then they'll be working through that as we roll through the weekend, how quickly and what the environment is saying to us, because things are changing daily.
You're not on your own with playing through this period, but you're one of very few that are. What do you say to the people that are going to look at the decision made today by the Commission and say why? And do you feel that the perception is that you're placing yourself above what others are doing on this front?
No, I don't think so, Dame. I think the distinction is that it's entirely consistent with the policy and positioning of our government, and both state and federal. And it's consistent with what the Chief Medical Officer told us today, that his strategy for dealing with this crisis is that industry goes forward, that we actually can't stand still. And that was incredibly and compelling for the Commission this morning to hear that actually we're not going to stand still, and we can't, and the Prime Minister said that this morning, we can't lock ourselves in our house. If that was the view, that we're actually going into lockdown and that was the best way forward, then we would have followed that, but that wasn't the advice.
Is it more of a risk to postpone? Is it more uncertain to postpone? It would be, in a sense, more dangerous in a way to postpone, because you're not sure of what's there.
I think it certainly would be more uncertain for our industry and for the key participants. We continue to try and balance leadership on this issue, the health and welfare of our players, but with also the sustainability of the industry and the livelihoods of our players, our coaches and others. And that balance is at the core of this decision today, that we think today, and that's today, tonight, it's appropriate to continue, and that we know that that's something that's reviewed every day.